Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Planning Committee. First of all, let's get on with the nitty-gritty. I have to read this out for you, and it is a planning committee where members of the public are present. Welcome to the meeting of the Planning Committee. We're recording the meeting this evening using our webcasting system. The webcast will be transmitted live and will also be available on the Council's website following the meeting. Generally, the public seating areas are not filmed. However, by entering the meeting room and using the public seating areas, you are consenting to be filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting or training purposes. I have the discretion to stop or suspend the recording of the meeting should this be necessary. To maintain the proper running of the meeting. This is a meeting of the Council held in public. It is not a public meeting. And it is not a public meeting. All mobile devices should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones. Anyone else intending to film or audio record any part of the meeting is asked to do so in a manner that does not disturb the meeting. Please refrain from filming the public gallery or public speakers on items. If the fire alarm sounds, leave by the nearest exit and officers will advise them when it is safe to return to the meeting room. Procedures for each item. The planning officer will present their reports and committee members will ask any points of clarification. The meeting will allow those who have given notice that they wish to address the committee on a particular application to do so. Each person will be invited to come forward to the table at the front of the public seating area and will have 3 minutes to give their views. Once all comments have been given, the meeting will then continue for members of the committee to discuss the applications and reach a decision. No further comments may be made by members of the public. Apologies for absence. Have we had any apologies for absence? No apologies for absence. Declarations of interest and lobbying. I wish to make a declaration of interest on lobbying, and I will leave the meeting on item 6. Thank you. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure if this constitutes lobbying, to be honest, but I, along with other members of the committee, received an email from the developer in item 4 earlier this week with some details, so I'm not sure if that constitutes lobbying. But anyway, just in the interest of full disclosure, that did occur.
I did receive that email, but I didn't reply to it or anything, so I'm not declaring an interest or anything, because I didn't even open it, I don't think. Yes, Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I also received that email. I didn't bother opening it. I never do. But I've been lobbied on item 6.
No? No. Okay. Item 3. Minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 21st of August. All those in favour of the minutes, please show. No abstentions. No problem with the minutes, thank you. You wasn't there, was you? No, okay, thank you. An abstention, please. Item 4. Relocation of existing Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. So I think this will be item 4. Submission of reserved matters and application relating to scale, appearance, layout and landscaping of outline planning approval 20/01/614 out for the erection of up to 200 dwellings with associated cycle and pedestrian access, landscaping, parking and associated infrastructure on the land north side of Kennel Lane. I think that's over to you now, Gordon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, you're correct. This relates to a reserved matters application that the council has received. Relates to land north side of Kennel Lane in Billericay. This is a red line site location plan. The site extends to approximately 8 hectares and is within a single parcel of arable land, north side of Kennel Lane, east side of the A176 Noak Hill Road. The site is largely enclosed by established tree and hedge belts around the site periphery. The land falls from the north to the south with an undulating topography comprising a central depression. There's an aerial photograph. Immediately to the north and northeast of the site are 2-storey houses in Bell Hill Close, Wimwell Heights and Hunters Avenue. There are sporadic dwellings along Kennel Lane with open fields to the south, Billericay School, playing fields to the west on the opposite side of the road. There's a couple of site photographs. The top one just shows it from the southern end of the site looking north towards the houses in Wimwell Heights and Bell Hill Close. The bottom slide just shows it from the northwest corner looking southwards from an elevated position over the countryside beyond. Now the application is for, as you've mentioned, it's a reserved matters application relating to the appearance, layout, scale and landscaping following the approval at appeal of an outline planning permission for the erection of up to 200 dwellings. As part of the reserved matters application, it's now come in for 179 dwellings. These comprise 14 one-bed flats, 22 bed flats, 29 two-bed houses, 76 three-bed houses and 44 bed houses. Of those, 64 would be affordable dwellings, representing to 36% of the total. They would be split 70-30 affordable rent shared ownership. Majority would be 20 houses, but there would also be 3 apartment buildings, and these would all be 2 to 2.5 stories in height. There would be a central public open space close to just under 3 hectares, along with landscape buffers to the perimeter. 358 resident car parking spaces with electric vehicle charging points, 52 garages, visitor parking bays, plus cycle parking for each dwelling. Surface water drainage strategy incorporating drainage basins is also proposed. The upgrade of the roundabout junction of Noak Hill Road and Kennel Lane, bus stop upgrades in the vicinity, and the principal cycle pedestrian connections were agreed at the outline stage and do not form part of the reserved matters application. So the key issues for us relate to the detailed design and appearance of the development, layout and scale, landscaping and impacts upon adjoining occupiers, parking, surface water drainage. As I mentioned, the principle of the development is already agreed, and so this is just looking at the detailed design. It's also been set out within an agreed set of parameter plans at the outline stage, and the impact on the highway network and highway capacity was agreed at the outline stage. So in terms of the layout, these respond to the parameter plans. The site, as you can see on the site plan, is split into 2 principal residential parcels either side of the central open space. The open space is in the middle due to the topography where it drops quite significantly in the centre of the site. In terms of layout and scale, as I mentioned, yes, it's split into 2 separate sections, either side of the open space. The detailed layout builds upon the parameter plans and identifies several character areas within each section of the development to help define the space add interest and variety across the scheme, as well as help with wayfinding, site legibility. In terms of the building heights, these again follow the parameter plans. At the outline stage, these were set at 2.5 stories for the majority of the centre of the site, or up to 11.5. I think it was 11.5 metres, and 2 stories around the perimeters next to the existing residential properties are up to 10 metres in height. The tallest buildings, these would be apartment blocks A, B and C, which I'll go into more detail, but you just see them as the bigger blocks on here. One's in the southwest corner and the other 2 in the northeast corner. I'll go into them in a bit more detail. These are 10.9 metres, 10.7 and 8.7 metres height respectively, so they're below the 11.5 metre parameters. Notwithstanding some residents' concerns, and those of Billericay Town Council and Great Bursted and South Green Village Council regarding the size and scale of the apartment blocks, in particular, all dwellings and apartment blocks are of an appropriate height and scale that complies with the parameter plans set out at the outline stage. 2-storey dwellings are restricted to the row of proposed dwellings along the northern boundary, as well as the proposed dwellings wrapping around the southern boundary next to the Langhams, as you can see there. So yellow's 2-storey, and then the brown is the 2.5 stories. In terms of the proposed housing tenure, the broad mix was agreed at the outline stage in terms of the housing mix parameters attached to the Section 106 legal agreement. The housing mix falls within these approved parameters. 36% of the dwellings, as I mentioned, would be affordable housing, and these would be clustered in the areas identified in green and blue on the plan there as affordable housing and shared ownership. Clustering is a preferred method for management of future affordable housing operators. But all dwellings would be tenure blind, so it wouldn't be obvious from the outside which are the affordable housing units. And as I mentioned, 64 dwellings out of the 179 would be affordable, with the remaining 115 being private sale. This is the proposed parking plan. As I mentioned, there'd be around 358 parking spaces in total. This includes 339 allocated spaces. Every house will comprise a minimum of 2 parking spaces in the form of either a driveway and/or garages, or a combination. Every apartment will be served by a minimum of 1 allocated parking space. 1 secure cycle space will be provided per dwelling in accordance with Essex Planning Officers Association parking standards, either provided within a garage or shed for the dwelling houses, or in communal cycle stores for the apartments. Drainage plan is also proposed. This will incorporate 2 large drainage basins within the central open space. Surface water drainage will be managed through suitable mitigation and drainage management compliance conditions, controllable by condition, as already applied at the outline stage and as recommended by the County Drainage Authority in this application. There'll be large areas of landscaping, and I've got hard and soft landscaping details have been provided. The hardscaping would incorporate a mix of permeable and non-permeable paving. Road surfacing materials varied throughout the development to reflect the hierarchy of streets and surfaces for the visual interest and surface water drainage management. Site boundary details also include a mix of timber panel fences, post and rail fences, acoustic fences and brick walls, stroke retaining walls, to take into account prominent corners, changes in topography, and to ensure a safe development and minimise noise transmission. Natural play features as well as benches and litter dog waste bins would also be provided in appropriate places within the open spaces. The majority of the trees on site would be retained. These are mostly around the perimeter. Only 6 low amenity value trees would be removed, and these were agreed at the outline stage to facilitate the site access from the realigned roundabout onto the Noakhill Road and Kennel Lane. There will be substantial new tree planting proposed to supplement the existing trees within the open spaces, along with new wildflower planting around the basins. The new development would comprise just over 21% biodiversity net gain. And in terms of the design and appearance, officers have held several pre-application discussions with the applicants to ensure the design of the buildings, character areas and street layouts are of a suitable quality. It has also been through a quality review panel and subject to discussions with the Council's urban design officers leading up to the scheme in its current form. The character of the surrounding areas have also been used to help shape and influence the design of the development that is largely representative of Billericay's architectural fabric in the context of the site. Following areas of influence of design, these include Billericay High Street, Windmill Heights, Bell Hill Close, Langham Crescent, Frodon Brook, amongst other residential estates in the vicinity. Drawing on neighbouring scheme precedent and other hill precedent contemporary house types, a proposed scheme incorporates simple pitched roof forms consisting of a mixture of eaves and gables fronting onto the street, modern fenestration of rectangular proportions with feature floor-to-ceiling windows, a mixture of doors with either square apparatuses, full-height apparatuses of side lights, single and double solid course banding, protruding header detail panels, predominant simple front door canopies, soft texture bricks in a variety of red, buff and grey brick forms, plain tiled roofs in either grey, brown or red tiles, and dark cladding and board features. So this slide just shows some of the existing dwellings in the wider area that have influenced the design in terms of materials, architectural details, dormers. The next slide just shows some of the existing and the proposed dwellings in context, so you can see how some relate to the have inspired the design. So you've got various elements here like gables, other buildings, different coloured brick and brick banding, etc. As I mentioned, the development has been split into different character areas where a degree of uniformity of buildings is promoted to better define those areas and enhance the legibility and experience of future occupiers and visitors. The dwelling designs, inclusive of 3 apartment buildings, are considered an appropriate design response to the site's topography and approved dwelling mix and maximum number constraint parameters in order to achieve a viable scheme of 179 dwellings, 21 less than allowed for under the outline permission. These designs, whilst not slavishly copying the designs of dwellings in the immediate vicinity, are of a contemporary design and pay a nod or reference to the materials and architectural details used in other buildings within the wider Billericay area. Paragraph 135C of the NPPF states that planning decisions should ensure that developments are sympathetic to local character and history, but whilst not preventing or discouraging appropriate innovation or change. Surrounding dwellings in the wider vicinity are readily identified as being from a specific era, largely mid-20th century or older, typically 17th to 19th century in respect of Billericay Conservation Area. The proposed development, whilst referencing elements of these areas, will be clearly a contemporary design in what is a well-contained site. Apartments B and C are recognised as the 2 largest buildings. I'll just flick through some of the building examples. So you can see some are fairly simple and others have got gable elements, different coloured bricks, different size fenestrations. These are some of the typical floor layouts, detached, semi-detached and terraced. They would all meet the National Space Standards. These are some of the other detached ones fronting the park or the central open space. And these are the 3 apartment buildings. This is the smaller of the 3. This one fronts onto the entrance to the site, 2 stories. And then you've got 2 larger ones. Whilst we acknowledge there's not a precedent of particularly large apartment blocks within the wider vicinity, these are within the building height parameters of 2.5 stories and are considered appropriate in order to achieve the mix of 1 and 2 bed units proposed within the parameters. So, as I mentioned, apartment buildings B and C are recognised as the 2 largest buildings within the scheme. These have been sited amongst other houses within the north-eastern part of the site, and subject to detailed design discussions with the applicants and ourselves. Each elevation will be well balanced with good oversight over the public areas to the fronts and sides. just move on to, so that's the other one. Each one's got balconies. They're all to Essex Design Guide standards for private amenity space. These are some of the ancillary buildings and structures that would go alongside several of the larger houses, and including cycle stores. There's also an electric substation to the top right. And these are some examples of the materials, some of the raised brickwork. In terms of consultations, just shy of 800 surrounding property occupiers were notified, together with site notices and a display of a press notice. This generated 14 responses, principally objections. A summary of these objections is listed on pages 21 to 22 of the agenda. The statutory consultee response is also listed on pages 20 to 21 of the agenda. In terms of the impact on adjoining occupiers, in fixing the parameter plans for the development of the site, the planning inspector recognised the need to protect the amenities of existing residents in Bell Hill, Close, Samuel Moore Heights and Hunters Avenue that adjoin the northern boundaries of the site, along with the bungalow Langhams to the southern portion of the site. In her decision, she said, in terms of resulting levels of outlook, disturbance, privacy, daylight and sunlight, the submitted drawings, the parameter plans, demonstrate that there is sufficient scope in principle to secure appropriate separation distances, building heights and landscaping at the reserved matter stage. I find that although there would be change for those existing occupants, this would not amount to a situation which would lead to unacceptable living conditions. The application is supported by a daylight and sunlight assessment which identifies the overall there is no material effects upon the neighbouring properties, and that the scheme will provide high levels of amenity for future residents. The undulating northern boundary has also been taken into account with regard to the positioning of the proposed houses that will back onto it. Back to side distances of some 15 metres plus will be maintained between proposed and existing houses along the northern boundary that are typically on higher ground, with back-to-back distances of 20 to 30 metres also being provided in excess of Essex Design Guidelines. I'll just move on to a couple more CGIs just to show you how it would look. This is a view from the open space. And so to conclude, the principle of the development of the site for up to 200 dwellings is established. The proposed development is considered to be in conformity with the parameter plans approved as part of the outline planning permission. The proposals will deliver a high quality development of 179 dwellings in total in a range of building styles that are inspired by the surrounding area, yet contemporary in their form and considered an appropriate design response to the site constraints, approved development parameters and site topography. 115 of the dwellings will be market homes for private sale, and 64 would be new affordable homes split 70-30 between affordable rent and shared ownership, clustered within suitable locations around the site. A large central open space with associated sustainable drainage basins and landscaping will form the centrepiece of the development, alongside other green infrastructure, ecological enhancements, pedestrian and cycle connections, car parking, associated highway works in compliance with the objectives of Save Local Plan policies, the Essex Design Guide and the MPPF. The submitted details fall within the parameters set out by the outline permission, comply with relevant local and national policies, are considered acceptable in planning terms. It is therefore recommended that planning application number 24/00299/REM be granted permission, or reserved matters consent rather, subject to the conditions set out at pages 40 to 46 of the agenda. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Gordon. Is there any clarifications or questions on this? Councillor Blake.
Yeah, just for my own peace of mind, the 2.2, where it's got the little map there of the roundabout there, that is the roundabout that basically just before Little Burstead, where you turn left to Little Burstead. I've got that totally wrong.
Yeah, Councillor, if you're coming from Billericay Town Centre, it's
the same coming up, no, from Basildon.
If you're coming up from Basildon, the Little Burstead turn is just before this roundabout.
Yeah. Yep. So the gentleman shaking his head, so I'm right, yeah. So going straight across will take you past the school on the left-hand side.
This is before Billericay School, so it's the junction with Kennel Lane and Langdon Road.
Yeah, okay. And just another question. The entrance in and out of the place, how is that happening?
Yeah, that was agreed at the outline stage. If I go back to the site plan.
Yes, please, just so that I can...
So access was one of the only the matters that wasn't a reserved matter. So I don't know if you can see it on the landscape plan, perhaps. Yeah, bottom left corner is where the roundabout is. So Kennel Lane, the junction gets reconfigured. No, so at the moment it just leads to Kennel Lane. So they're reconfiguring that junction in order to maintain. So the access into the, if you come off the roundabout into this estate from that roundabout, but there'll be a new turn right into Kennel Lane, the reconfigured Kennel Lane. I can point it out on the. Yeah.
So, sorry, on that point, Councillor Blake, the matters which were agreed at the outline stage was the highway matters were resolved at that point. So the highway matters in terms of the roundabout are not a decision we're making tonight. They've already been made. So and they were signed off by the Highway Authority. So all matters we're looking at tonight relate to the layout and the landscaping and nothing more.
I was quite happy to leave it there, but it was just my own knowledge. Just want to get things right. Wasn't insinuating anything by that. Thank you.
Any more questions? Clarifications? No? Oh, Emma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was just a point of interest when you mentioned the hard landscaping. Would Essex County Council be looking after that, or would the developer be hiring a company to do that?
It'd be a management company would look after most of that. The highways would only adopt the first part of the road into the estate. The rest would be a management company.
Any more questions? No? We'll go straight into the application then. I think we've got a speaker here tonight, Chloe Houston, Senior Development Manager. Would you like to come forward? If you press the button on your right hand side, okay?
Oh, is that working? Perfect. Cool. Are we good to go? Brilliant. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to address the committee. I'm Chloe Houston, Senior Development Manager at Hill. Hill are an award-winning, privately owned house builder with a strong track record of delivering high-quality, sustainable homes in Essex and the South East. Having lived in Essex myself, I'm aware of the sensitivities of designing new build homes in edge-of-settlement locations and the landscapes that surround them. We have therefore adopted a landscape-led approach and worked collaboratively with the Parish Council, local community and key stakeholder groups to shape the design proposals. The site benefits from outline permission for up to 200 new homes, and following a detailed design review and taking local feedback on board, the number of homes proposed as part of this application is 179, enabling us to design a high-quality development, address concerns regarding density, and to better satisfy housing need. 64 much-needed affordable homes will be delivered, fully complying with the Section 106 agreement and Basildon's planning policy. 77% of the total homes provided are between 1 and 3 bedroom properties, therefore prioritising young people and young families accessing the housing market. The proposals fully comply with the design parameters conditioned by the outline permission. The building heights are below the maximum height thresholds approved under the outline consent, and dwellings are well set back from neighbouring properties, protecting their amenity. We have worked closely with Basildon Borough Council to create a high-quality place that is well screened by existing and proposed planting, and well connected by existing footpaths and proposed new footpath cycleways. An array of character areas have been created to provide legibility and wayfinding through the incorporation of varied materials and colours, which is important when designing developments of this scale. The architectural style is traditional in form and celebrates existing local precedents such as brick detailing, weatherboarding, large windows and dormers, and reimagines them into a contemporary style, creating a unique and distinctive neighbourhood. The development provides a generous new central park, celebrating the site's undulating topography to create a high-quality recreational space for all to enjoy. The proposals also provide a community orchard area and a circular recreational walk. Currently, the site has no drainage, so when it rains, the water discharges onto Kennel Lane uncontrolled, causing flooding. The proposals provide an engineered solution, storing water on site, controlling the rate that the water is discharged into the existing network, preventing surface water flooding. We have worked closely with technical statutory consultees, including flooding and the highways authorities, who are satisfied with the proposals and have no objections. We have achieved approximately 22% biodiversity net gain, which is considerably higher than the statutory 10% requirement. We've also reduced carbon usage by 67% over and above the regulation requirements. The Section 106 agreement secures local infrastructure contributions, and we're also committing to additional investments in local employment and skills, such as on-site apprenticeships and training. In summary, this will be a high-quality development that has been exceptionally designed in partnership with key local stakeholders and Basildon Borough Council, and will provide clear social and economic benefits. We look forward to delivering these much-needed homes within Billericay. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Chloe Houston. Thank you. I don't believe we have any more speakers that have recorded to speak. The members have. Any questions, anybody? Alex?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, no. Apologies. I should have asked this during the technical questions. It didn't cross my mind until just now. In the central sort of park area, are there going to be any play facilities, or will it just be sort of grass and fields?
I think there were some sort of natural play features like logs and sort of benches placed within it. But I think the Section 106 agreement did allow for monies towards upgrading local sort of play parks in the vicinity.
Anybody else have questions? Councillor Blake.
Quick one on that. How much is the 106? My apologies for.
I haven't got the complete figure. It was based on a formulaic approach, so it allowed for up to 200 dwellings. But so for 179 dwellings, it would take a proportion of that. I think it was up to about £2 million, if I recall.
Yeah, just a couple of not questions, but just comments, if I may. Then, I think it's good that it's come down by 21 less dwellings. I do support that. However, and I know I could be shot down for this. I actually still think highways still should be here, as on everything that's involved. They should be in and never attend. So and we know that's something that the new administration are very keen on, to get the county to attend. So I would like to have seen that, because I still have issues, and I know I hear what Christine said regarding the previous application being passed, but I can't live with myself, if I'm being absolutely blunt, knowing what that roundabout's like at the best of times. You literally have to queue from the little Burstead turn off to go there now. Let alone what's going to happen with all the other dwellings. And we know what's coming round the corner. We know the development that's going to be happening or attempting to happen on the Greenbelt in Burstead. We can see what's coming down the road, and I just wouldn't feel comfortable myself actually supporting an application on this. And it is on, you can say, well, it's not what we're here to discuss tonight. I don't want to be responsible for anybody getting hurt or killed on an absolutely extremely dangerous road that's going to become more dangerous with this development, and also what we know was possibly coming around the corner from it. So I shan't be supporting it. However, I do appreciate that the developers have done absolutely everything in their powers, and I actually do appreciate that. But I just couldn't live with myself if an accident was going to happen, and I can see it happening.
Thank you, Councillor Blake. Have you finished now? Okay. Councillor Myers?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just obviously comments on the discussions kind of side of it. I agree with Councillor Blake that reducing some of the housing and the density is obviously a good idea here. Obviously, I do have some concerns with some of the northern elements for large flats. I think that the southern portion should have been more allocated for those because of not being near existing dwellings at 2.5 stories. I do consider that to be an issue from a design point and residential amenity. Sorry, excuse me, I've had a tickly cough. I do apologise. I also think that, it is a bugbear of mine where developers come along with new developments and yet install a management company just so that Essex Highways don't have to deal with it. Only the first part of the location. I think that needs in the future rethinking, because these roads are going to be built for these houses and they will be of a standard that could be adoptable. So this is just a case of a developer not forking up the money to give to Essex County Council to say, oh, come along and look after them for us. We'll just bung it on the residents instead every year when there's a pothole, and every year have to fill it out and they're going to have to pay for it. I don't agree with that sentiment at all. In terms of the open space in the middle, I think the planting of trees, it is much improved, and I thank them for that. It does look, it's not just, I know we've gone through the outline now, it's just the design, but having more trees and greenery and planting and shrubbery, etc. is very welcome. Attenuation basins, I'm not entirely sure, in terms of the flood risk as mentioned into Kennel Lane, and these attenuation basins are put in the middle. I'm just a bit concerned how you're going to actually stop the rain with the undulating topography from the bottom bit with drainage and going onto the road from the southern portion. Other than those things, I think obviously the Essex Flood Authority has said that it's not an issue. So I can't say really much on that. I mean, generally the design of the properties does seem to be in keeping with what's on the other side, but I do have a particular issue with the location of the two larger apartments on the north side. So I'm holding fire for the moment. I don't know how I'm going to vote on the actual design layout at the moment, but generally, of course, the principal development is there. I just think there's some things that they need to think about if this goes ahead. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Myers. I just remind you, this was a one on appeal, so, we're looking at the design and layout.
I was talking about the design.
Yeah.
I was talking about the design.
And also, you're talking about Essex Highway. How do you get them along? We have the same problem, okay, as you did. Thank you. Any more questions? Councillor Blake.
Sorry, the one word that I've been puzzled with ever since I've become a councillor is, or two words, is affordable housing. If someone, he knew I was going to say that, don't he? Absolutely. Affordable housing, and I heard that the comment was for the young people coming through. What is affordable housing? Because I can't see them being very affordable to the youth that are coming through. Can anybody? So I'm just interested in what, we keep on hearing this, and it's great, it sounds great, but in a place like that, lovely place like that, on Greenbelt, what is affordable?
It's a question. I'm not sure if yours is rhetorical or not, because the answer. It's the government defines affordable housing as 80% market rent, and shared ownership, I think it's 50-50.
Hi, thank you, Chair. Just a few comments about this application. I found very interesting reading in the appeal that was lodged in September 2022, which definitely exposed Basildon's track record on meeting its housing delivery. You know, it explained in the appeal that Basildon is the 7th poorest performing out of every council in the country in terms of delivering housing land supply. It's delivering a max of 45% of housing required. It's delivered 700 homes in the last 3 years. So I would just like to disagree with the fact that less houses is better because I know people are very protective of Greenbelt, but as we're seeing at the moment, you know, the assessment of Greenbelt and its use and its permanence is changing because of the housing crisis in the country, because we need more homes, because the Labour government wants to build homes for people to live. We know that in Basildon alone, there's 7,000 plus people on the housing waiting list, and that's only people who have met a very stringent criteria. So I just want to say that I feel that the applicant has done a lot to kind of meet the council where it was. I feel that the reduction of houses to make it a better, more, you know, appealing or easy to navigate development is fine. But I think that, you know, this is going to be a significant contribution to the houses that Basildon really needs to build quickly. And in terms of the other comments, you know, and this isn't, you know, you can agree on an opinion but not on principle. Understand that our colleagues on the committee have legitimate concerns that they've raised, but I've found that management companies looking after hard landscaping areas actually does work really well. If residents, you know, want to pay for that, that is a regular service every single week. No missed grass cutting, nothing like that. It's something that can be upheld really well. And I don't think it's really up to members of the committee to define what families can and cannot afford. It's a really, as Councillor Blake said, it's a lovely area. You know, lots of people can afford nice houses there, and there will be people who appreciate the kind of 80% market rate and people who will make use of the shared ownership. And I think that, you know, there's families moving into this place from all kinds of backgrounds and professions, and I think that, you know, opening access to them as well as people who can afford top whack is also great. So I'm just saying my support for this application, and I can appreciate what the developer's done to meet the council where it is today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Mike Baker.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'd just like to build on those comments, if I may. Firstly, my understanding, having read the deck in some detail, is that the reason for the reduction of the number of homes being proposed from 200 to 179 is as a result of feedback from residents in terms of the proximity of the houses on the northern border with those in Windmill Heights and Hunter Chase, rather than any desire to reduce the numbers in general. Also, in terms of the Greenbelt aspect of this, I know as Christine's already said, this has been approved in outline terms, but personally I think this is a textbook example of where we've got a piece of land which is designated Greenbelt, but this plot of land is making negligible contribution to the quality of life of the Billericay community, and I think will be much better served deployed to address our acute housing crisis. So I echo the points made by Councillor Callaghan on that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what we're actually discussing this evening, which you know isn't the house, isn't the highways and isn't sort of the general view of the idea of having 200 houses here. You know, the developer's gone down from a maximum amount of 200 down to 179, which is good. There's plenty of car parking spaces for all the houses and flats and back stores as well. I mean, this is an area that isn't particularly well connected by public transport, so I accept that we need that number of parking spaces because we're expecting people who live there to require cars. Visually it looks nice. It there's a nice mixture of different housing types there. In terms of Councillor Myers' point around preferring the larger blocks of flats further away from the town centre rather than closer, that doesn't quite make sense to me, because visually my view would be that the closer you get to a town centre, the larger the houses would be, and then as we get towards the countryside, they would go down. But so yeah, I don't have a problem with the types of housing and the locations of them there. I think the central park area is a nice addition, and is something that I've always liked on this application, even if there are other things that haven't been particularly good around the highways that we're not discussing. But yeah, so yeah, overall, I think this ticks the boxes that we're here this evening to discuss, even if there are other issues that we've had with this development in the past. And so therefore, I can't see a reason to vote against it. But yeah, I understand that the concerns of other members.
Thank you, Councillor Harrison. If there's any more people wish to speak, no, right. Affordable housing. Well, I always thought that we all start off with studio flats, and I'm sure they'll be affordable for people. We do need more housing in our area. I looked at the design, and I think one of my members did as well, about the windows, and we thought they looked a bit not symmetrical. But apart from that, I haven't got any other problems. I just think, we need the houses. It's been approved on appeal, so I'm happy to go along with it. Thank you. So being we haven't got no more people that want to ask any questions, I will go straight into the recommendation. That planning application number 2400299 REM be granted reserved matters consent subject to the conditions set out at the end of the report, with any amendments that might be necessary up to the issue of the decision notice. The approval of this application will also discharge conditions 15A of the outline planning permission 20/01614/0 UT. All those in favour, please show. I think that's unanimous.
No, Councillor Blake.
Oh, Councillor Blake.
So
All those against? Thank you. Okay, there's no abstentions, so can we go on to item 5, please? So item 5 is planning application number 23/01506/VAR. Variations of condition 2, approved dwellings to allow substitution of house types. Evaluation changes, removal of carports, provision of substantion and other minor changes. Conditions 12, hard landscaping, and condition 13, soft landscaping, attached to planning permission 21/01687/4, allowed on appeal with the reference AWP/V150/W221329611116 for demolition of Maitland Lodge and the construction of 47 new dwellings Class C3 with vehicular access onto Southend Road, together with associated infrastructure and landscaping works at Maitland Lodge, Southend Road, Great Bursted, Billericay, Essex, CM11 2PT. Can I hand this over to Mr. Mullen, please?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to draw members' attention to the update for item 5. For some reason, the planning history wasn't included in the original report, and it's included here now. And as you can see, it's the original appeal decision plus a series of conditions that have been discharged following the appeal decision. This application before us is an application under Section 73 of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 to vary the conditions to attach to an existing permission. Members will probably recall that planning permission was originally granted on appeal to Inland Homes plc, but the site has now been taken over by Bellways Homes, who have submitted these changes. This is the site here, and this is an aerial view. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Actually, I'll lean forward slightly. As we can see, this is an aerial view, and the site comprises Maitland Lodge at its frontage, which is a large two-storey house and with fields and outbuildings behind. This section of Southland Road in Great Burstead is laid out with similar detached and semi-detached houses, and the site is also adjoined by the rear gardens of houses in Homefield Close and Mill Road. These are some aerial views. Sorry, these are some photographs of the actual site. And these are some of the existing buildings there. The proposal is concerned solely with changes to the approved development in respect of changes to the design of the houses, the removal of carports, a new substation, and also hard and soft landscaping. In terms of consultation on the application, 101 neighbours were consulted, 2 responses were received, which are considered in the officer's report, and also Great Burstead and South Green Village Council have not objected to the application. This is a brief description of the key changes to the approved scheme. The carports have been removed. There's an emphasis on Essex vernacular, reflecting Billericay's built heritage. There's a variety of well-designed house types. There's been a lot of attention to door colours, port styles, good finishes, careful arrangement of window and door openings, and the development now achieves a sense of place. In terms of the key issues which are raised by the application, the submitted revisions are not considered to have any greater impact on the openness of the Greenbelt at this location than the original development. And as noted, in several ways, the revisions will result in a more open environment, particularly the removal of the carports, which are linked to many of the houses in the original scheme. The submitted hard and soft landscaping schemes are satisfactory and will enhance the development further. Housing provision mix and provision of affordable housing remain as before. This is the previously approved scheme, and next we have the new proposed site plan, which, as you can see, it replicates the original arrangement. And these are the actual new designs which have been submitted. And as you can see, they pick up on Essex vernacular features, particularly weatherboarding, render, while a substantial number remain as brick, as in the original scheme and as first proposed. This is an artist's view, showing the weatherboarding. The changes to the scheme resulted from a series of very positive meetings the officers had with the applicant, which now have delivered, we feel, design quality which achieves a good sense of place. The housing itself is not changed in terms of its overall height, scale and massing, and the layout of the scheme, as before, avoids any detrimental effect on the residential amenities of surrounding residents by gathering the development towards the centre of the site, good separation distances between surrounding properties, which are separated by existing rear gardens and the rear gardens of the proposal. Likewise, drainage, highways and refuse collection are unaffected by the revisions. For these reasons, the application is recommended for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Has the members got any questions on this? Councillor Blake.
Just my normal question you'll get used to, the secure by design.
Yes.
I know it's on the original application would have been, but I just want to know what the police have looked at this and they're happy with the secure by design. I see it's got urban design officer, but that's not actually necessarily secure by design. So I just
Yeah. Secure by, should I answer? Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Secure by design. This was actually considered in great detail by the inspector in his appeal decision, and he attached a very demanding and elaborate condition in respect of secure by design, requiring the applicant, I think, to achieve a gold standard. This carries over to the new application because it's the same permission. That's unchanged, and details haven't yet been submitted, so we are yet to see what will be intended.
thank you.
Sorry.
Any other questions? Oh, Alex, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, mine's just around the car parking. I'm looking at the before and after maps on the agenda, page 179, and on 180 it says that there's provision of a substation associated car parking to rear of plot 3. Can you just point out where the rear of plot 3 is? Because I can't seem to see any changes from the first map to the second. And then also on page 180 it also mentions that the 12 carports have been removed. Carports, is that car parking spaces have been removed, or is that electronic?
The physical structure has been removed, the carport itself. The parking spaces remain as before.
Any other?
Sorry, and where is plot 3 in the additional?
I'm having some difficulty reading this plan myself. I think it's in the bottom right-hand corner, where the boundaries have been adjusted. Sorry, we don't have access to larger plans, do we?
Just leave it up on your screen. Can you see it? The garden boundaries were readjusted for that plot as well. Yeah. So there's now a sort of wildlife area to its side, which you can just see outlined there, a wild area.
Any more? Councillor Myers.
Thank you, Chair. Just in terms of the previously approved development of a new one, the bottom left corner appears to show well, it looks like water, an attenuation basin. It's blue coloured, but it's not in the new plan. So I just wondered in terms of if that was an attenuation basin, and why has it been removed?
No, it's still there. It's not. Beg your pardon. This has been carried over from the original scheme. But as you can see, the landscaping there is of a particularly high quality, which merges well with the improved design.
Any more questions? No? Okay. You want one? Okay.
It's just an observation, and it's an apology to officers really in some respect. They're going over some things now because it's on the previous application, but there's a hell of a lot of new members on this committee that didn't really know much about that previous application, so a lot of their comments are very valid, although you might have already been over once before. With the new committee, it's a bit more awkward, so do bear with us, I'm afraid.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Blake. Again, this has been one on appeal, so some of it might not be relevant, okay? Okay. If there's no more questions, no? Can I call Jamie MacArthur, Regional Planning Director for Bellway Homes, please? Yes. Yeah, on the right.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee this evening. My name is Jamie MacArthur, I'm the Regional Plan Director for Bellway Homes, speaking in favour of the application. First, I'd like to thank officers for their report and positive recommendation, which we fully endorse. We are a 5-star house builder with a proven track record for delivering high quality, market and affordable homes, a number of which are within Essex. We acquired the site from Midland Homes in June 23. We conducted a review of the approved scheme and considered that the improvements could be made to the design and quality of the new homes using our experience with local customers. The purpose of the Section 73 application is to secure minor design amendments to the approved scheme, which was allowed on appeal in November 22. We have undertaken extensive discussions with the planning and urban design officers to ensure that the changes proposed are of high quality, reflecting local vernacular. It is important to note that the previous approved layout of the development and the housing mix has not changed. Furthermore, the location of the sustainable drainage basin remains unaltered and the existing boundary treatments remain retained. Predominantly, the proposed amendments focus on the elevation treatments and the built form of the proposed dwelling types, including window details, porches and dormers. Furthermore, to add visual interest within the street scenes, the use of different colour renders and weatherboarding has been introduced, and is also noteworthy that a significant amount of new trees have been proposed in comparison to the consensus scheme, providing environmental benefits. Overall, it is considered that the changes amount to a betterment of the scheme, delivering high quality new homes that accord with the guidance and standards set out in the Essex Design Guide. It is also pleasing that key statutory constituencies are all supportive of this application. In summary, we are very much committed to the delivery of this site, providing new homes alongside the commitments of the Basildon First Charter set out in the 106 Agreement. We are delighted with the conclusions reached by officers, testament of the months of constructive dialogue we have had with the officers involved, and I respectfully request that the Section 73 application be approved in accordance with the officers' recommendations. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr MacArthur. I now open it up for members. Anybody want to discuss anything on here? Councillor Blake, Councillor Myers, no? No? Morris, no? No? Right. I'd just like to say that I like the design, very eye-pleasing, and it fits in well with Billericay. So that's my comment. So I'll go straight into the recommendation that planning application number /01506 VAR be approved subject to the planning condition as amended where necessary attached to 21/01687 granted on appeal reference APP V1 505 W 22 3296116 and a deed of variation in respect of planning agreement under section 106 of the Town and Country Planning Act 1990 as amended. No. Thank you. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. Okay. All those against? Any abstentions? 1. Okay. Thank you.
Just, Just bear with us 2 secs while Councillor Larkin removes herself from the meeting. So we'll be moving on to item 6 now. Planning application number 23-01021-full. The replacement of kennels and bungalows with a siting of 25 residential park homes and associated works at St Mary's, Newhouse Avenue, Wickford, Essex, SS120JY. I'll pass over to Mr. Mullen again.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Again, I'd like to direct members' attention to the update sheet for concerning item number 6. There have been a number of changes to the reasons for refusal on this application. Firstly, reason number 4, which concerns the ecology of the site, we're now satisfied that sufficient information has been submitted and this reason for refusal is withdrawn. There's been further consultation with Essex County Council Drainage as regards the flood risk, etc. at the site, and that condition has been slightly amended so that it now includes references to flooding, water quality and pollution, because this is a critical drainage area. And then reason number 6, which concerns the lack of a Section 106 agreement, the applicant has confirmed that they are actually willing to make these contributions, but there is no agreement or arrangements for agreement at the moment. Turning to the application itself, this shows the site plan. The application site is located at the north end of Newhouse Avenue in Wickford. Newhouse Avenue is a cul-de-sac leading from London Road, and it's not adopted. The application site, as you can see here, comprises 2 units, a bungalow known as St Mary's and also Siracupi Kennels. Both planning units are in the same ownership, and to the north of the site, also in the same ownership, is open land, which forms part of the curtilage of St Mary's and which adjoins the River Crouch. The site falls within the Greenbelt. This is an aerial view of the site, and we can see St Mary's on the left and the Kennels complex on the right. Again, these are some photographs. This is a view from within the site, looking down towards Newhouse Avenue. We've got St Mary's there, and the adjoining property Reflections, which is immediately adjacent. Again, St Mary's. This is the rear of St Mary's. These are outbuildings at St Mary's. There's quite a, there is a range of development within the curtilage of St Mary's. This is the Kennels building, and these are the kennels themselves. And this is a view across beyond the application site, looking towards the River Crouch. The proposal is an application for a change of use of the land for the siting of 25 residential park homes units, as well as an office, parking and landscaping. Park homes technically constitute static caravans under the Caravan Act. Caravan Caravan Sites and Control of Development Act 1960, and these structures are not houses or buildings in planning terms. In terms of consultations, 19 neighbours were consulted, 6 objections were received, and the grounds of objection are summarised in the report at page 25. Wickford Town Council has also objected to the proposal. The key issues are that, in principle, under the National Planning Policy Forum, the constructions of new buildings in the Greenbelt are inappropriate. However, exceptions may be made for the redevelopment of previously developed land and also for material changes of use. But this is subject to the openness of the Greenbelt being preserved. In this case, therefore, the impact on the openness of the Greenbelt is crucial to the determination of this application. The application site is to be developed with 25 mobile home pitches as well as an office, and the development, as you can see, will extend across the entirety of the application site. By contrast, the current layout of the application site is relatively spacious. If I just go back to the original photograph there, and comprises 9 buildings. The coverage of the site with 26 structures, including the office, is felt to be much less open. It's therefore considered that the development does not benefit from the exceptions for previously developed land and a material change of use, given the impact on the openness of the Greenbelt in this locality. Accordingly, the development is considered to be inappropriate. Now, the National Planning Policy Framework allows the consideration of special circumstances which would outweigh any harm to the Greenbelt, and a number of considerations have been put forward by the applicant. Firstly, that a mobile home park like this, residential park homes, do provide low-cost housing for older people, and it is acknowledged that a mobile home park of 25 units would have some role to address a particular identified need by the Council for 2 and 3 bedroom market dwellings in the borough. However, mobile homes do not meet the planning definition of affordable housing, nor would they be included in housing statistics as they are not housing on flats. Secondly, the fallback position of an existing planning permission for a mixed use comprising retail, storage and light industrial uses at Circa Peak Kennels has been put forward as a justification. I would point out that this fallback position concerns only the Circa Peak Kennels portion of the site. St Mary's itself would remain unchanged, and the development which is approved by this development which was approved by this committee is not such a radical alternative as would justify approval of this proposal for mobile homes. And it's important to remember that every planning application must be determined on its own merits. In addition to the Greenbelt considerations and other matters I've mentioned already, there are 2 other concerns. The mobile home park is at the end of Newhouse Avenue. Most mobile home parks actually take direct access from a main road, but in this case, access to the mobile home park will be along Newhouse Avenue, with all the noise and disturbance that will result from the 25 units proposed here. In addition, the site lies in close proximity to the River Crouch, and although in flood zone 1 there are critical drainage problems in the area as recognised by the Environment Agency, Essex County Council require a drainage strategy to assess the application of the development on flooding, pollution and water quality. For these reasons, the application is recommended for refusal. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. Are there any questions for the officers? Councillor Blake.
Yeah. You normally have a graph up there when it comes to pros and cons. And I think that's normally I didn't see that.
Beg your pardon.
No, it's no problem.
Here it is. Yeah. It's certainly. The positives. The planning balance. The positives are that it is a form of relatively low-cost housing, which is recognised, and particularly suitable for people over 50, which we consider to be a limited positive. The negatives are that it's has been considered to be an inappropriate development in the greenbelt, which will impact on the openness of the greenbelt in this area, and there are no special circumstances which would justify the development. This constitutes a substantial negative. There will be a detrimental impact on the residential amenity of the existing residents on Newhouse Avenue. The implications for drainage in the area are unknown, and also we considered that the existing planning permission, if you like, the fallback position of the mixed-use scheme already mentioned, we don't consider that to be a better offer in terms of this proposal, and both developments have issues, and we don't consider that the existence of a fallback position in any way justifies approval of the current application for mobile homes.
Councillor Blake, any? Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Callahan.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question of clarity. Would the private mobile home park that's proposed be an entrepreneurial venture for the individual in the area who also set up the kennels in 1975?
Certainly the application has been made by the owners of the site. I'm not sure what their intentions are, whether they would actually operate a mobile home park there themselves, or whether it would be made available to other operators. We're dealing solely with the planning principles of the change of use.
Understood. I just referred to your point about the road being unadopted, and the housing that's being proposed being something that the council wouldn't consider part of its housing stock, so it definitely would be completely separate from the council's operations. Is that fair to say?
Certainly, yes. It's market housing. It isn't affordable housing. It is private market housing, but we do acknowledge that it could be low-cost market housing. We don't have, as mobile homes tend to be, but we don't have precise information on that.
Are there any other questions from members? Councillor Blake? Oh, yes, no, yeah. Keeping us on our toes. Right, yeah, if there are no more questions from members, then I'll move on to members of the public. So I've only got one speaker this evening, so Mr. Robinson, the agent for the application, please come forward to the... Thank you, Mr. Robinson. You just make yourself comfortable, and then when you're ready, just press the button on the microphone. You have 3 minutes.
There we go. So the site is sustainably located and well connected, is previously developed land, has residential use on half of the site, and has been accepted in our discussions with the LPA as an appropriate location for residential use. The proposal will provide 25 park home units of 1, 2 or 3 bedrooms for occupants over 50 years of age, and will contribute towards Basildon's 5-year housing land supply shortfall, which currently stands at 1.85 years. There are initially 6 potential reasons of refusal. 1 has been withdrawn, and the 6th should also have been withdrawn, considering the council and the applicant have agreed a number for a Section 106 agreement. The remaining reasons focus on greenbelt, character and residential amenity. On greenbelt, the main issue is with openness. The built volume of the proposal will be virtually the same as the volume presently on the site and will sit completely within the previously developed footprint. It will not encroach into the countryside or cause 2 settlements to merge or significantly contribute to any of the other objectives of the greenbelt. In our opinion, it's policy compliant. We want to note that the new Labour government has proposed changes to the greenbelt policy, with particular focus on greybelt, which is defined as greenbelt, which makes limited contributions of the greenbelt's purposes, particularly where the land is previously developed. The consultation states that it makes no sense to provide special protection for sites in the greenbelt which previously developed and underutilised. The emerging reforms of the NPPF should be given material weight, as under the revised NPPF it is unlikely this will be refused on greenbelt grounds. Separately, the character of the pattern of development along Newhouse Avenue will not be significantly altered by the proposal. A residential use of the land would be more in keeping with the existing residential character of Newhouse Avenue than implementing the industrial and storage use previously permitted, which we do consider to be the fallback position. The impact of residential amenity would similarly be less impacted than the 2020 permission, which would include loud industrial processes and constant movement of HGVs down the avenue. In our opinion, it would be more detrimental to the amenity of than park homes occupied by 50 years, residents of 50 years plus, and their likely average day-to-day activities. Consultees have not made any significant objections to the proposal. That cannot be overcome by planning condition. The road is tarmacked, maintained well, and has street lighting all the way along, which is contrary to what's said in the report, and the holding objection by flood can be addressed by provision of drainage details as secured by condition. In the planning balance, we consider that significant weight should be given to the sustainable location, the fact that it will be delivering homes which are affordable and meet significant deficit in the current local housing need through contemporary housing. The emerging grey belt site contacts, which are, in our opinion, sits heavily in support of this proposal also. We welcome the committee to make a prudent planning decision based on these facts.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. If you could just press the button again to turn the microphone off. Thank you very much. Last time they let me, Chair. Mr. Mullen, can I just get clarity on the condition of the road and the street lighting, as the agent mentioned that?
It's an unadopted road. The street lighting, I've checked with Essex County Council. It's not public. It doesn't appear to be public street lighting. It may be that the neighbours there have got together and have organised a private lighting scheme, but unfortunately I don't have information on that. Yeah, the condition of the road. It's a typical unadopted road in the borough. You know, bits of it are good, parts of it are good. It's parts not so good, but it doesn't meet the standards of an adopted road.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any members have anything to say? Councillor Blake?
Yeah, just clarity really. I thought the officer said that it doesn't come off our 5-year supply because it's mobile homes and whatnot, and yet the gentleman there said it does come off our 5-year supply. So I'm a bit confused as to who is correct.
Yeah, correct. Because they're mobile homes, they aren't considered houses or flats, and therefore they wouldn't be entered in our housing statistics, in our housing returns.
So they won't come off our 5-year supply. So that wasn't true then.
Effectively, these are stationary caravans. Yeah.
What was said wasn't true.
My understanding is.
Yes or no? A simple yes or no to that. The question, the gentleman said it comes off our 5-year supply. I simply want a yes or no whether that was true or not.
My understanding certainly is that if this were to be approved, it wouldn't be a contribution to Basildon's housing supply.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, what guarantee is there about the over 50, over 55, whatever it is, that it stays that way? Because somebody can move in, and what if they've bought them, do they sell them on? What guarantees can they sell them on? Who can they sell them on to? What's the legislation on that?
Really, I don't think there's any legislation, because these are private properties. You know, they can be sold to whoever wishes to buy them. Certainly, the developer could have a policy themselves of encouraging over 55s to buy them, but there's no obligation for them to be occupied solely by over 55s. And also, trying to attach a planning condition to control them being confined to over 55s would be time-consuming and extremely difficult to enforce.
So again, asking a straight question, do you think that's could be a bit of a red herring there?
Well, it's interesting. It's certainly a very valid point, because most mobile homes, or a lot of mobile homes, do appeal to older people who wish to downsize. You know, so there's scope there certainly for occupation by older people.
Anything else, Councillor White? Yeah. No. Okay. Councillor Callahan.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to build on the points raised by Councillor Blake. So the speaker did mention that it was a very well connected plot, but I understood that it would be 25 mobile homes positioned at the end of a cul-de-sac. And you've mentioned that it's unadopted road, which we know it varies in quality because there's no statutory responsibility to upkeep it. So as you say, it might be a good quality road now, but in the future, there'd be no recourse for the residents of that mobile home area to, complain to the council or Essex County Council about the state of the road. It would have to be something that was managed within the private park. And then just one last point was, obviously Greenbelt is under review at the moment, and my gut feeling is you can't just throw it out in terms of the Greenbelt, because we know that suitable Greenbelt should be brought forward to meet housing supply in 2024. But I will say that the kind of implementation of a private mobile home park, which would obviously have concrete and things over the land, it doesn't in keep with the kind of permanence, the idea of permanence with Greenbelt. The land could be very degraded, it could get flooded, the sewage issue, how would that be maintained? As we heard in other developments, that sewage and drainage is something that's already in plan. So yeah, it'd be just good to understand what the plans would be to prevent kind of an overflow of foul sewage and in flooding. So my 3 points are: the location seems questionable in terms of access. The unadopted road element means that if it goes into disrepair, there's nothing that any kind of statutory body could do to improve the road for residents. And also the same would go for the drainage and the kind of sewage management of the area is something that the council would never have any oversight or power over. Is that correct? Thank you.
Yeah. Dealing with them in turn. Yes, the locational aspects certainly is at the end of Newhouse Avenue, and I'm speaking here in terms of the impact on residential amenity. It would be to do with traffic, noise, disturbance, activity at the mobile home, at the end of the road, rather than at the frontage of the road, adjoining a main road, which is generally where you see mobile home parks. Secondly, the unadopted road. The situation with an unadopted road is that it's up to the residents there to maintain it. There's no recourse to any public body to come and do repairs until the road is actually, were the road to be adopted at some point in the future, that would change. But many roads like this in the former Plotlands areas of the borough remain unadopted. As regards drainage, this is a matter for careful consideration, and we don't have sufficient information at the moment to offer an opinion. That's why it's one of the reasons for refusal. But it is adjoining the River Crouch, and there are critical drainage problems in the area. So it's certainly an aspect that deserves careful consideration.
Yep, Councillor Cannon.
Just to thank the officer for his information. So I would just say that although we're looking at, over 50s home there's no, what's that word? There's no secure agreement around the quality of life for the residents in terms of, the access, the drainage, the quality of life for residents we couldn't support that as a council in any way if this was to go ahead.
Be up to the operator to maintain it in accordance with environmental health regulations. For instance, there wasn't an objection from environmental health, but they did suggest conditions. They would have to be attached. Yes, it would have to be. If it was, it would have to be run. It would depend on who the operator is and whether it's run responsibly or not.
Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mullen, could you confirm, is there a pedestrian footpath between this proposed site and the main road leading to Wickford?
My understanding, whatever footpaths there are just informal arrangements.
Okay. You done?
Sorry, I'm not quite sure. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I'm not quite sure on your answer there. Are you saying that we don't No, Mr. Munn?
Just while we're getting that up, I'll say that I've just got Newhouse Avenue up on Google Maps on my laptop here, and I certainly can't see any footpaths that run alongside the road. But I'll let the officers speak to that once they're all sorted. Mr. Warner, your microphone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think I have to say I can't answer that question because I don't have the information, I'm afraid. Yeah, but just to confirm, except to advise that it is an unadopted road and therefore wouldn't have the road markings, formal pavements that you do have on an adopted road. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on this item? No. Okay. Well, I'll just say a few things then. So yeah. I mean, I have pretty much very similar concerns to most of the members that have spoken so far. Although the road's in relatively good condition now, after several years of potentially 25 additional cars going up and down it every day, who knows what condition this road would be in. I also have concerns around the not being able to make it legally binding that the plots remain for over 55s. I think it was the agent said when he was speaking, it may have been Mr. Mayor, I can't remember, that there are up to 3 bedrooms in each of these plots. They're 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. So that the chances of potentially a family moving into one of them with 2 bedrooms being used for children are relatively high as if there are any 3 bedroom plots here. So that's a concern to me. And then I'm concerned as well that as I say, Newhouse Avenue, it's not a it's not a road that we as a council know too much about because of the fact that it's unadopted, and so yeah, I'll be concerned about voting for this, not knowing the full the full impact on the road and how it will go in the future. So yeah, if nobody else has anything to say on this application, we'll move on to the recommendation, and that is that planning application number 23/01021/full be refused planning permission for the reasons set out at the end of the report. And you can see the end of the report on page, let me just get to it, reasons for refusal, so pages 215 and 216, there's 6 points on there for reasons for refusal. Apologies, and there's several amendments on your amendment sheet as well. Okay, yeah, as members can see them all on their agendas. Those in favour of the recommendation to refuse? Thank you. That's unanimous. That concludes the meeting. Thank you, members.